ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. اللهم اجعل ما نقوله ونفعله خالصا لوجهك الكريم. إلهنا نعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عنا شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتنا هذه ولك قبلنا ذنب أو تبعة تعذبنا عليها. Today, inshallah, we'll continue the series that we started. We will tackle the last question before we start with the first attribute. Yani if the time allows it today, I will start with the first attribute of the attributes of the Shaytan. If not, inshallah, tomorrow we'll start with the first 2 or 3 attributes and see what we can do to fight back, speak about the solutions. The question for today is this battle that we're having with the Shaytan a fair battle or no? Because I said he's very well experienced, he has powers that we do not have, and he has so many soldiers, and he has all the experience that he needs to fight us. Besides all his powers and attributes, that he sees us, we don't see him, and so on and so forth. So is this battle a fair battle or no? And does he have actually power over us or no? And how can we protect ourselves? Today, I will mention 7 points that give access to the Shaytan. So these 7 points, there might be more than 7, but these 7 points, if we manage to take care of them, then we've closed the main doors and paths that he can actually get to us from. If we can close these, we're almost khalas, good and safe from Shaytan al-Rajim. In the Quran, we read in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 27, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Surely, we have made the Shaytans to be guardians of those who do not believe. Actually, before I continue, I want to mention something on the side. Because the way I go about these topics and themes when I prepare for a lecture is I gather all the verses and narrations that I can find so that I make sure that whatever I give back or share with anyone is from the Ahlul Bayt and from the Quran. This is why those who follow me and listen to my lectures, the longer ones, they will see that I include a lot of narrations. I share a lot of narrations and I try to explain these narrations. Okay, I can just come and freestyle from my head what I think about Shaytan, but this is not how it should be. So this is why you find many verses, even if it's clear, even if the idea is clear, I like to back it up with a verse from the Quran or a narration in our sources. Okay, so this is why you listen a lot, you hear me a lot say, and the Quran says, and the Ahlul Bayt say, and the Imam says. Okay, because this is how it should be done. طيب. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. طيب. In another verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Nahl, verse 99, we read the following: وَإِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. He has no power over those who believe and put their trust only in Allah Azza wa Jal. He has no power over those. And we spoke in the previous lecture that he himself said that I don't have power over al-mukhlasin. And I explained to you the difference between al-mukhlis and al-mukhlas. Okay, so we're done with that. So the Shaytan won't be able to influence you or have access to you unless you give him the keys to your heart and to your nafs. If you manage to close all doors, he won't have access to you. He cannot force you to do anything. You are not helpless against the Shaytan. Because sometimes when we commit mistakes, we like to find somebody that we can blame for our mistakes. Well, it's not my fault. He said I can do this. It's not my fault. And then we want to blame the shaitan, right? Allah yal'an al-shaitan. Immediately we say in Lebanon, something falls, kahraba, electricity goes off, Allah yal'an al-shaitan. It's good that we get used to that we say Allah yal'an al-shaitan a lot. But sometimes you are to blame for your mistakes, no one else. So it's not right to blame the shaitan for everything, because it's you at the end of the day that gives him access, that grants him access. If you close the door, then that's it. And the Quran in another verse makes it more clear. He says, إِنَّمَا سُلْطَانُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَتَوَلَّوْنَهُ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِهِ مُشْرِكُونَ. Okay, his power is only and only over those who obey and follow him. Only those. If you let him lead, he will lead you. He will be pleased to lead you. If you do not let him lead, he has no power over you. So it's you who gives him access. And this is what the shaitan says in another verse in the Quran Kareem. Because the Quran, according to Alamat al-Taba'i and other scholars, يُفَسِّرُ بَعْضُهُ بَعْضًا. You can rely on the Quran to get the worldview that you need from the Quran. Because each verse explains the other verse. So in the Quran itself, look what the shaitan says, يوم القيامة. وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق. And shaitan will say when the matter has been decided on the day of judgment, verily Allah promised you a promise of truth. And I too promised you, but I betrayed you. ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم. وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي. I had no authority over you except that I called you, so you responded to me. فلا تلوموني, so do not blame me. ولوموا أنفسكم, but blame yourself. ما أنا بمصرخكم وما أنتم بمصرخي إني كفرت بما أشركتموني من قبل. I cannot help you, nor can you help me. I deny your former act in associating me as a partner with Allah, etc. So the shaitan himself tells you on the day of judgment, I had no authority over you. I just called you and you listened to me. You obeyed me. So do not blame me. So the conclusion is, it's you who gives the shaitan access. طيب, what is it exactly that you could do, or what is the state that you could put yourself in that grants shaitan access? This is what I want to speak about, and I will start with the first one. But keep in mind, you give him access because he himself is weak. And I'm not saying he's weak just to put the hopes up or motivate you, right? The Quran himself says, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. Okay, his plot, his strategy is weak. He is weak. طيب, let's start with the first point with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The first point is self-admiration and love for praise, which is in Arabic al-ujub. Al-ujub. And for each one, I have a narration that I will start off with, to read the narration with you, and then I will explain the points related to it. The Imam says, وَإِيَّاكَ وَالْإِعْجَابُ بِنَفْسِكَ. Beware of admiring yourself. وَالثِّقَةَ بِمَا يُعْجِبُكَ مِنْهَا. And having confidence in what pleases you of yourself. وَحُبِّ الْإِطْرَاءِ. And loving flattery, that people make you compliments, that they praise you in a good way. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَوْثَقِ فُرَصِ الشَّيْطَانِ فِي نَفْسِهِ لِيَمْحَقَ مَا يَكُونُ مِنْ أَحْسَانِ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. For that is one of the most reliable opportunities for Satan to destroy the good deeds of the virtuous. This is one of his strong opportunities. When he sees that you are enjoying the praise, that you think you're good, you have this ujub, you admire yourself, I'm a good person, I'm a good believer, I'm a good man, this is when the shaitan comes and gets you. This is one of his main opportunities. Imam Khomeini says that when you admire yourself, when you have ujub about your nafs, about yourself, this goes back to your ignorance about yourself. This goes back to the ignorance of yourself and the position of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because there's no need to have ujub about yourself. When the Ahlul Bayt want to humble us and tell us there's no need for ujub, they tell us, remember how you started as a nutfa qadira, as a sperm, and you will end as a jifa natina. You will be a dead body that will be eaten by the animals and insects. You will be gone. There's no need for you to admire yourself. There's no need. So this is how the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam humble us. And there's a story that Nabi Musa was sitting one day, and then Iblis came to him. I shared this in the previous lectures with you. And he told him, tell me, what is the sin that Bani Adam can commit that allows you to have access over him, to have power over him? And Iblis told him, إِذَا أَعْجَبَتْهُ نَفْسُهُ. Okay? وَاسْتَكْثَرَ عَمَلُهُ وَصَغُرَ فِي عَيْنِهِ ذَنْبُهُ. When he sees his sin as small and not big, not really relevant. This is the first one. When you admire yourself, when you love this. The second one, which is probably one of the most important ones, is companionship with people who follow their desires. يعني مجالسة أهل الهوى. I will read the narration and explain. The Imam says, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ يَسِيرَ الرِّيَاءِ شِرْكٌ وَمُجَالَسَةَ أَهْلِ الْهَوَى مَنْسَاتٌ لِلْإِيمَانِ مَحْضَرَةٌ لِلشَّيْطَانِ. In English, he's saying, know that even the smallest degree of ostentation, يعني riya, they say eye worshipping or something like that. When you want to translate it word by word, when you let people see your acts of worship, this is shirk. And then he says, and that keeping the company of people who follow their desires makes one forget his faith and religion and will allow Shaytan to be present. When you sit with the wrong people, mujalasatu ahl al-hawa. We have so many gatherings that we enjoy. We sit, we have a nice talk, but this talk is not related to anything beneficial. We just spend some good time. We don't remember Allah. These friends, they don't remind you of Allah. No one tells you to go pray. No one tells you that what you're doing is wrong. It's just spending a good time together. But this is very dangerous because your environment will affect you regardless. We have sayings, it's not a narration. قُلِّ مَن تُعَاشِرْ أَقُلْ لَكَ مَنْ أَنْتَ. Tell me who you accompany, who you're with, I will tell you who you are. Your environment, people who surround you, this is very important. This is why if you want to become a sheikh, a hawza student, you need to go to the hawza, to be around these teachers, around these people. Because you will be like them. The way they talk, the way they walk, the way they behave, it will affect you. If you're having the wrong environment, the wrong companionship, they will affect you. There's no way out. You will get affected. So, قُلِّ مَن تُعَاشِرْ أَقُلْ لَكَ مَنْ أَنْتَ. Halla, the topic of brotherhood, of companionship, of who you befriend, of how you know who's a good friend, who's a bad friend, we have that in the narrations. In one of the narrations, the Imam says, Al-Ikhwanu Sunfan. Ikhwanu al-Thuqat wa Ikhwanu al-Mukashara. He says, brothers are of two kinds. Those who are trustworthy and those who you just enjoy a good time with. But this would be a whole topic on itself. I'm not going to go into that. I just want to take what's relevant when we speak about the shaitan. So he's saying, if you join these gatherings of Ahl al-Dunya, where you don't remember Allah Azza wa Jal, and nothing beneficial for yourself as a human being, it doesn't have to be Allah, Allah, Allah the whole time. It's you being honest, being responsible, being strong, knowing your duties, following your duties. This is what we want. If you're not having these gatherings, then shaitan will be present, according to the narrations. And then the Imam in another narration, he tells us something. He says, if you want to know if you're good, if there's good in you, he gives you a test. You can test yourself. He says, إِذَا أَرَدْتَ أَن تَعْلَمَ أَنَّ فِيكَ خَيْرًا. If you want to know, if you would like to know whether there is goodness in you, then do the following. فانظر إلى قلبك, look into your heart. فإن كان يحب أهل طاعة الله ويبغض أهل معصيته ففيك خير والله يحبك. If it loves people who obey Allah and hate those who disobey Him, then there is good in you and God loves you and Allah loves you. وإن كان يبغض أهل طاعة الله ويحب أهل معصيته فليس فيك خير والله يبغضك والمرء مع من أحب. If it hates the people who obey Allah and loves those who disobey Allah, then there is nothing good in you and God hates you. Man will be with whom he loves. And we have this in our narrations. I remember our Sheikh told us a story about one of the big scholars when he used to reach the part in Dua Kumail where we read أتفرق بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك. He would say, he would faint. He would say, Oh Ya Allah, is it possible that you would separate me from those whom you love? You would separate me from Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, from Ali, from Fatima, from Hassan. Is that possible? He would faint. Because this goes back to something really dangerous. When you admire the wrong people, when you love the wrong people, you want to become like them. There's a whole a lecture I gave on why we do what we do. Inshallah, I'll tell the brother to send the link in the group so you can benefit from it. Because if you admire the wrong people, if you look up to the wrong people, you see them as perfect, you love them, you want to become like them, you act like them. Taking the wrong role models will affect you in a strong way to the extent that you might be with them on the Day of Judgment, separated from those whom you actually want to be with. So the Imam is telling us, if you want to know if there is any good in you, look into your heart. If it loves those who obey Allah, then you're good. If it doesn't, if you enjoy the gathering of lahu more, then maybe there's no good in you. So this is a test the Imam is giving us so we can test ourselves. And in Dua Abi Hamza al-Thumali, we recite three chapters. We say, the Imam is telling us, he's teaching us when he says, أو لعلك فقدتني من مجالس العلماء فخذلتني. Or perhaps you have not found me in the meetings of scholars and thus you have let me down. When he speaks about, Ya Allah, why am I far away from you? Why am I in my current state, in my current condition? He mentions this as the first one. And then he says, أو لعلك رأيتني في الغافلين فمن رحمتك آيستني. Or perhaps you have seen me among the inattentive ones and thus you have made me despair of your mercy. خلص, I'm amongst the غافلين, so you left me. أو لعلك رأيتني آلف مجالس البطالين فبيني وبينهم خليتني. Or perhaps you have found me fond of the sessions of the wrongdoers and thus you have referred me to them. Because I enjoy these gatherings, these a'dad, these majalis, so you just left me with them. You want me to be amongst the scholars, the ulama, I am not there. So, خذلتني, you left me, you betrayed me, you let me down. So, the second main gate that you need to close is the wrong companionship. The companionship that does not remind you of your main purpose in this dunya, your main goal in this dunya. That one you have to close down. The third one, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Arrogance and injustice. I'm not going to speak long about this. I will just mention the narration. Inshallah, we can move to the next one. The Imam says, fear Allah from the immediate consequence of rebellion in this world and the eventual consequence of the evil of oppression in the next world, and from the evil result of vanity, because it is the great trap of Shaytan and his big deceit, which enters the hearts of people like a fatal poison. In Arabic, فَاللَّهُ اللَّهُ فِي عَاجِلِ الْبَغِي وآجل وخامة الظلم وسوء عاقبة الكبر فإنها مصيدة إبليس العظمى. It is his great trap. ومكيدته الكبرى التي تشاور قلوب الرجال ومساورة السموم القاتلة. طيب. There's no need to explain much about this. It's Iblis' main mistake. It is the main reason why he disobeyed Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's clear. And the Imam said, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. Okay? The person who has a tiny bit, a split of an atom, arrogance in his heart, he will not be able to enter Jannah. So this is something that we need to close down as well. Number 4 is doubt, ash-shak. And I spoke about this during the first night when I spoke about doubts and Corona and Joker and the other examples. The Imam tells us, وَمَنْ تَرَدَّدَ فِي الرَّيْبِ وَطِئَتْهُ سَنَابِكُ الشَّيَاطِينَ. In English, he who wavers in doubt, the devils trample him under the feet. And when it comes to doubt, we have two kinds of doubt. We have the positive one and the negative one. The positive one is the one that you have while you're trying to gain knowledge, while you're trying to gain or to have certainty in your actions and your belief. So you question, why does Allah exist? Who created Allah? How do I know that the Prophet is infallible? How do I know that this is right? How do I know that Jannah exists? These questions are fine, even though they're doubts. But it is the positive doubt that gets you to yaqeen, that brings you to yaqeen, that brings you to ma'rifah, to certainty. That doubt is fine, okay? Because you're trying to seek knowledge. But there's other doubts that are not reasonable, that will take you to kufr and disbelief. Doubts like when you doubt in prayer. I'm not speaking about doubting one time. Like we all do, I do. Sometimes you have doubts, am I in the 3rd or 4th unit? 3rd or 4th rik'ah, I don't know. Then we have ahkam al-shak. But there's people who doubt every single time in their action. Every time he prays, he has doubts. Am I in the 3rd or in the 4th? Every single time. Or when it comes to tahara or other things, this doubt is dangerous because it can lead you to kufr. And the Imam says that. He says, لا ترتابوا فتشكوا ولا تشكوا فتكفروا. Do not suspect. Irtiyab is a bit lower than shak. Shak is a higher form of doubt. Irtiyab is a lower one. He says, do not suspect, for you will doubt. And do not doubt, for you will then disbelieve. I know people personally who started having doubts and shak about their wudu. One time, second time, third time, the shak flew into their life and everything. Did I lock my car? Did I not lock my car? He locks his car 5 times a day. And this shak took him to doubt and question everything, even himself, even his existence, even if he's real. Because you think that, I mean, how bad can it get? But it will get really bad. It can get really bad. So this shak could lead you to kufr, and the Imam is telling us, close this door. Where we have ahkam la-shak, follow these. Khalas. Just ignore your shak, ignore your shak. Don't let it get to you, because if you let it get to you, it can lead you to kufr. And this is why Rahbar, Sayyid Ali al-Khamenei, he says, I wanted to give his words back, but I rather translated them to English. The Sayyid Ali al-Khamenei says, if there's no certainty and doubt is in control of a person's existence, the goals become unclear and you cannot move forward. Okay, like I said, when you have doubts, when you have no certainty, you're not standing firm on anything. Anyone can take you left and right, if you remember that. And if the goals are unclear, he says, then the movement will not be straight, continuous, and correct. Because you have doubts. You don't know if what you're doing is right. So acting or working based on clarity and certainty is different from acting or working and moving with hesitation and doubt. Hence, you notice in supplications that certainty is requested. We need yaqeen, we need ilm, always. Without ilm, you won't be able to move forward. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. طيب, number 5, anger. الغضب. The Imam says, وَاحْذَرِ الْغَضَبْ فَإِنَّهُ جُنْدٌ عَظِيمٌ مِنْ جُنُودِ إِبْلِيسِ. It is one of the great soldiers of Iblis. In another narration, the Imam says, الْغَضَبُ مِفْتَاحُ كُلِّ شَرٍ. It is the key to all evil. Because when you get angry, when you're in the state of anger, you lose your mind. You do things you would usually not do. You say things you would usually not say. So when you're in that state, Iblis will come to you. It is one of his great weapons to use you. Yani he will take these seconds, these minutes to get the worst out of you, and then you regret what you did. And many people, when they're angry, when something happens during the day, they just want to let everything that's evil out of them. Khalas, today is going in the wrong way. Today I will not pray, I will not fast, I will do this sin and that sin. Khalas, he lets go of himself. Very dangerous. Iblis. Iblis is present with you. Because what we can do to fight back is two things. We have two narrations that mention what we can do when you're angry. When you get angry, how do you calm somebody down Islamically? Because if you tell somebody who's angry, don't be angry, he will get more angry. You're telling me not to be angry? I'll show you how angry I can get. So usually it doesn't work. Okay, ما تعصب, like, don't tell me ما تعصب. Okay, I'm already angry, so don't tell me that. But before that, there's a quick story that happened between Nuh alayhi salam and Iblis. After what happened with Nuh and the ship and everything, Iblis came to him and he told him, I want to reward you for something. Nuh told Iblis that, I don't want your reward. Why would you reward me for something? Then Iblis told him, you know the story with your people and everything that happened and the ship and that you prayed and Allah took him. Now I can sit back and relax. I don't have work anymore. I have to wait until a new generation comes, so I want to reward you for this. So Nuh told him, how do you want to reward me? What could you reward me with? So he told him, I want to give you an advice. He says, when you are in one of three situations or three states, remember me. He told him, اذكرني إذا غضبت. Remind yourself of me when you're angry. واذكرني إذا حكمت بين اثنين. And remind yourself of me when you want to judge between two people. واذكرني إذا كنت مع امرأة خاليا ليس معكما أحد. And remind yourself of me when you're alone with a woman. So he gave him this advice. But I want the first one. وَاذْكُرْنِي إِذَا غَضَبْتَ. When you're angry, because he is present. طيب, what we can do Islamically is one of two things that we have in our narrations. The first one is when a person is angry, let one of his arham touch him. One of his rahim, it has to be his rahim, his close family member. Yani a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a son, an uncle, an aunt, anyone. Okay? One of these people, let them touch the person who is angry and he should calm down. This is one way. Another narration says, if somebody is angry, let them sit on the floor. Yani let them sit on the floor, on the ground, and they will calm down. Okay, don't force him to go on the ground, because if you do so, he might get more angry. But let them sit on the ground, and then his anger should release Islamically according to the narrations that we have. Number 6 is women, alcohol, and money. Okay? This is basically the world today. Women, alcohol, and money. The narration says, and Imam Ali alayhi salam, al-fitanu thalath. So he's saying there's 3 sources of fitna, of tribulation, of affliction. The first one, حُبُّ النِّسَاء وَهُوَ سَيْفُ الشَّيْطَانِ. The love for women, and that is the sword of Shaytan. وَشُرْبُ الْخَمْرِ وَهُوَ فَخُّ الشَّيْطَانِ. And drinking wine or alcohol, and that is the trap of Shaytan. And the third one, وَحُبِّ الدِّينَارِ وَالدِّرْهَمِ وَهُوَ سَهْمُ الشَّيْطَانِ. And the love for money and wealth, and that is the arrow of Shaytan. These 3. These 3 are the biggest problem that we face today. Okay? Not the women are the problem. The way women are presented is the problem. Because they're being presented as sexual objects, and that is the problem with women. Alcohol and drugs in general is the second biggest problem, and money, the love for wealth, the illusion of money. These are the main three problems that we have. And Nabi Musa, and in another narration, the Imam says the following, when it comes to money and wealth and these things, the Imam says, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانِ يُدِيرُ ابْنَ آدَمْ فِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. That Shaytan circles around man in everything, in every matter. طيب. فَإِذَا أَعْيَاهُ. When he is frustrated, what does he do, Shaytan? When he has no way to get to you, when you have closed every single path, every single door, what does he do? When he is frustrated, Shaytan ambushes him through his love of wealth. فَإِذَا أَعْيَاهُ جَثِمَ لَهُ عَنْدَ الْمَالِ فَأَخَذَ بِرَقْبَتِهِ. And holds him by his neck. This is how he will get to you. And there's a beautiful story that Hassan al-Basri narrates to us. He says, there was a man one day, this is how the narration goes, there was a man one day who wanted to cut down a tree that was worshipped by people. Okay, Ghazi could ask, if Allah knew that there's somebody who's going to worship the tree, why did he create the tree? La Habiba, this is not how it works. Okay, referring to the question yesterday, if Allah knew that they're going to worship Nabi Isa, why did he allow him to do what he did? La, this is not how it works. So the narration actually, it says the following, yani, there was a tree that used to be worshipped instead of God. A man came to it and said, I will cut down this tree. Okay, so they worshipped the tree, they worshipped anything. So the man went to cut down the tree, and then the story says that Iblis came to this man, appeared to this man in the form of a human being. And he told him, where are you going? And the man told him, I want to cut down this tree. He told him, why? He said, because they're worshipping this tree instead of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Shaytan told him, and how does that harm you? If they are worshipping the tree, how does that harm you? You're worshipping Allah, you're good, you're fine. And Iblis then told him, the Shaytan told him, what if I give you something that's better than this? And you just refrain from doing what you're doing. He told him, what is it? He told him, I will give you 2 gold coins and you will find them under your pillow tomorrow morning. The man said, how would you do that? How is that possible? He didn't know that it was Iblis. He didn't know that this was the Shaytan. He told him, just don't worry, I got this. I will take care of this. So the man went, he left, he went home, he slept, he woke up the next morning, and he found 2 gold coins under his pillow. He's like, all right, it worked, good. And then the narration says, he went to sleep again the next night, he woke up the next morning, and the gold coins were gone. Khalas, they disappeared, no dinar. So he was angry, so he went to cut down the tree again. On his way to cut down the tree, Shaytan came, but in his real form. He didn't come in the form, he didn't appear in the form of a human being. He appeared in his own existence. And he took him by his neck, and he told him, where are you going? He told him, I want to cut down the tree. He's like, no, no, no. You came the first time to cut down the tree because you were angry for Allah Azza wa Jal. So I didn't have power over you. Now you're coming to cut down the tree because you were angry that you lost the 2 gold coins. So I have power over you and I won't allow it. And the narration exactly says, Iblis told him, do you know who I am? He told him that he was Satan. Shaytan told him that I'm the Shaytan. And Shaytan said, you came the first time in the name of God's anger. And so I had no power over you. If you're coming with sincerity, if you're living your life, a sincere life for Allah Azza wa Jal, He has no power over you. So Iblis is telling him, I had no power over you. I deceived you with the 2 gold coins, wealth, so you left it, you left the tree. When you lost them, you came back in anger for the 2 gold coins, not for Allah Azza wa Jal, and so I was able to overpower you. So how did he get to him? Hubb al-mal, wealth. He got to him, he had access. The first time he didn't have access. He just whispered to him, he just told him, you know what, why don't you do this? And he did. For the second time, he had power, he had access over him, and he forced him, or he took care of him. طيب. That's number 6. Number 7, the last point, is no inner protection. If you don't have knowledge, the shaitan will have access to you. He will have power over you. The narration says عن الإمام الصادق عليه السلام من لم يكن له واعظ من قلبه. Whoever does not have an advisor from their own heart, وزاجر من نفسه, and an admonisher from themselves, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ قَرِينٌ مُرْشِدٌ, and does not have a guiding companion, اسْتَمْكَنَ عَدُوُّهُ مِنْ عُنُقِهِ, then they have enabled the enemy around their neck. If you don't have the knowledge that is necessary, that is needed, even the knowledge about the shaitan himself, about the enemy himself, about your nafs, who you are and what you want, clarity in your life, a goal in your life, you don't know the purpose, then you're giving your enemy access to you. And another narration that's beautiful that I always use, it's one of my favorite narrations, هَلَكَ مَنْ لَيْسَ لَهُ حَكِيمٌ يُرْشِدُهُ. The one that has no companion or wise person to guide him, he is perished, he is doomed. If you don't have anyone who's looking after you, who's above you, then you are perished, you won't make it. But always remember that whoever you have on your side, it's you. It goes back to you and your inner protection. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your nafs in order to protect yourself. No one else will protect you from you except you. Okay? This is like 3 times you, like Jackie Chan. You, me, I, you. I don't know if you know the scene. Jackie Chan and the Chinese guy. Who are you? I am you. You are me, I am you. Anyway, you protect yourself with yourself. No one else will protect you. And this is something you have to take care of. This is why I say, and I said this yesterday, I will repeat it today, it is really important who you listen to, who you give yourself to, your brain, your intellect, because the one that is speaking is modifying your brain. Okay, you're giving them access to your brain. All right, I am listening to you. You have access to my nafs, which is very dangerous, very dangerous. There was a brother in Canada who converted from Sunni Islam to Shia Islam. But he shared something personal. And till now, I remember it very well because I wasn't aware of that point. But when he described it, it hit differently. He said, when I was on my belief, I felt that I was on the Titanic. It will never sink. Khalas, I was so convinced, 100% certainty, this is the truth. He said, later on, as I discovered that no, this is not true, I didn't want to accept. So my Titanic was sinking. And that was a big deal to him. Like, is it possible that the whole time I was wrong? He said, then I accepted that my Titanic sank, but he was so afraid to go back on another Titanic. He said, now for me to go back to something else and take that with certainty is hard. So he was afraid. He said, I don't know, should I do this, should I not? Because he went through a crisis. Because he thought that, khalas, this is truth, and then his ship sank. Okay? So don't give yourself to anyone. Don't listen to anyone. Because I told you yesterday, the narration, Man asgha ila natiqin faqad abadah. If you listen carefully to a speaker, then you are worshipping him. فَإِنْ كَانَ النَّاطِقُ يُؤَدِّي عَنِ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ عَبَدَ اللَّهِ. If the speaker is delivering on behalf of Allah Azza wa Jal, then you are worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. And if the speaker is delivering on behalf of Shaytan, then you're worshipping the Shaytan. Because you know the quote that says, watch your words, or watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, it becomes your destiny, something like that. It starts with a word. The word is the most powerful thing that we have. This is why you're not allowed to be in places where music is being played. Because your eyes, you can close them whenever you want. Your mouth, you can close it whenever you want. But your ears, it's hard to close them fully. You will always listen to what's around you, what you're surrounded with. So make sure that you abstain from these places as much as you can. I know the West, I know it's hard, I know everywhere you go there's music being played, but try as much as you can. And if you cannot turn it off, at least try to have a loud conversation so you cannot hear it as much as you can for yourself. Because whatever you hear, the Imam says, your ear is the gateway to your heart, to your nafs. It's directly connected, whatever you hear. Okay, this is why we enjoy listening to beautiful things. When you listen to dua, a beautiful voice, Quran, it eases you, it relaxes you, because it's something very unique and very special. You don't get that from your eye if you look at something beautiful. You get it from your ear. So it's very important who you listen to, who you give yourself to, because that will determine who you are and who you will become. I will keep the part with the attributes till tomorrow, so we can start off with a bunch of them, maybe 2, maybe 3, but for it to flow. I don't want to start with 1 today and then continue the rest tomorrow. We'll start with 2 or 3 tomorrow, but I can tell you what they are. The first one is very interesting. It's luring people towards sin. And the second one, I actually don't have it here, but I believe it's waswasa. And then we'll see if we can do the third one as well. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin.